Welcome. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Let's go. Give me 1 second. Good evening. Those of you who are chiming in from wherever you're chiming in from, and those of you who are on the call with me, good to be with you. Hold on a second. Let me be with you really for a minute before we get started. Now, let me erase this too, guys. I got some stuff up on the board. Be a distraction to keep it up there. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right, guys, welcome. Good evening. I hope you are doing well today, this evening. I hope your year is going fantastic. You're crushing it the second month of the year. Let's see how many people we got chiming in so far. We got a few people coming in so far. Let's go. All right. Guys, it's tax season, so I want to go over this communication with you, this whole series with you, because how many of you guys watched the Super Bowl last night? Man, Eagles. Let's go, man. Eagles got the victory on that. Some of y'all are mad. I am mad. I am mad. Either way, I'm not mad. But the whole point is Super Bowl happened yesterday, but if you're not paying attention, this is really the Super Bowl of the year when it comes to being prepared for taxes and being ready to take advantage of everything that you planned. If you had a plan in place, if you have not had a plan in place, this is going to be a great conversation for you to be inside of tonight so that you can change the game. Stop spinning a wheel, stop reacting to life, and start creating life. You can create life with these simple structures, is what I want to say. And give me 1 second, guys. Let's go. All right, so yeah, you can create life instead of react to it in this area called taxes and tax strategy. And why would you want to do that? Well, for most of you, you really want to increase the amount of cash that you have in the bank at the end of the year. The score was not an indication of the game. I got you, brother. At the end of the day, man, and all the people are going to win is, well, who won the game, right? That's all the people are going to remember, who won the game. And really, that's all you get to place your emphasis on too when it comes to your business. Did you win the game? Yes or no? Did you win the game? Yes or no? And before we get into it, guys, let's get started with a few introductions here. In case you didn't know, that's me, Cheston Bolgen, CFO and tax strategist with By the Bush Consulting, founder of this company. And you can reach us at 888-4BTB now. That's 888-428-2669. You can also reach us on the web at youraccountingsuperhero.com. You can reach me via email, cbolgen@youraccountingsuperhero.com, or definitely follow me on Instagram, okay? And you can message me there. Send me a DM in Instagram at Your Accounting Superhero. Now, if you've been with me in this conversation, you know that we handle, the accounting, the tax strategy. We help you with the technology to manage it all, like QuickBooks Online. Some of you have trucking management software. We help with that. Really, we deliver something called peace, ease, and clarity to the people that we serve, and that gets to be you inside of this call. And because you're in this call, you get to have that, okay? That peace, that ease, that clarity. And the choice is going to be to take on the things that we discuss here. And before we do that, one more thing is quick disclaimer. The following is for educational purposes only and is not to be considered financial, accounting, or legal advice. Please consult your tax, accounting, and or legal professional for specific advice. Now, I say this because there are specific things that you're going to go through, and you're going to need specific guidance through those specific situations, even though we're in a common industry. You're in the trucking industry, and a lot of people face what you face. Similarly, your particular situation is going to require specific questions and specific actions. And this is why you want to go to your tax, accounting, and or legal professional to apply this in life, okay? That could be us if you so choose. If you do want to do that, you can definitely reach out to us via the communication that I gave before, the contact information I gave before. 888-4BTB now, or you can reach me at cbulgin@yourcountysuperhero.com. Okay. Now, really quickly, like taxes, okay? If you love taxes, put a 1 in the chat. If you hate taxes, put a 2 in the chat. If you're kind of in between, don't really care so much about it, put a 3 in the chat. Okay. There are going to be all kinds of people that we come across when it comes to this area. And although this is about taxes, it's not really about taxes. Although this is about taxes, it's not really about taxes. It's about your life. It's about you being able to achieve the next level of wealth for yourself. And if you take this seriously, if you take this on, you can really go out here and crush it in terms of creating wealth, not just wealth for yourself, but generational wealth when it comes to understanding the tax laws and applying them. Now, I really wanted to get into a conversation tonight about some things that you can do strategy-wise to set yourself up for a win in this area. Now, one of the things that who love taxes? This guy over here, this guy loves taxes. I could do that all day, man. It's just like a whole realm of, it's like playing a game, just like anything else for me. It's like playing a game, and I wanted to be like that for you too. You get to win. You get to understand the game, and you get to win at the game. You get to refine your skill set and your communication around it as well. Now, the one thing that I will say about, being able to play this game and understanding it very well is embrace it for one. If you want to win something, you want to embrace the fact that you play the game. So embrace it is what I would say is my request, if you so choose. Okay, if you so choose to do that. But if you do choose to do that, when you embrace it, there is a whole nother side of things where you get to have a higher level of life because you play the game very effectively. People talk about, Donald Trump and him not paying any taxes. Well, he said he's smart. That's why he doesn't pay any taxes. To a degree, he's right. He's smart. He doesn't have to because he's playing the game by the rules. That rule, he has people in his corner that understand how to do that very well and walk through that implementation wise very well, so he achieves the outcome and wins the game of taxes, which increases the amount of wealth, which increases the amount of money in his pocket that he gets to keep. And you get to do the same, is what I want to say. You get to do the same because the tax code is written for American citizens, U.S. citizens. And you happen to be a U.S. citizen. And even like people who are non-residents who come here, they're able to take advantage of certain benefits tax-wise as well. Okay, just by nature of the code. Now, hopefully now you're starting to get excited about this thing called taxes, you know? And if not, that's okay too. All right. But the idea is that you're in this call and watching this live stream, if you're watching it later on, so that you can improve your cash flow. And that's what we're here to do. Okay. So let's talk about a few things. Now, if you receive my communication via email, it's like tax management is one of those things that you get to do. You get to manage your taxes. And by managing your taxes, you get to manage one of the largest expenses and cash flow killers that you're going to come across in your life. So, this is why you would want to understand tax management. And this is also why you would want to put into place some type of strategy so that you get to crush it and keep your money in your pocket. Okay. Now, just to understand the importance of this, it says proper tax management can significantly impact cash flow by minimizing tax liabilities and maximizing deductions. Strategic tax planning helps business owners retain more revenue, fueling growth and stability in their operations. That can be you. Okay, that can be you. You can actually have growth and stability in your operations through cash flow management when it comes to taxes. Okay. Now, some people that I've come across, get this, man, is really quickly. I spoke with somebody today with this too. Okay. There's a lot. There's a lot that you and I go through as business owners. So there's so many things that you go through as a owner of a trucking company. There are so many fires to put out in addition to the day-to-day operations There are things that you draw your attention to on a regular basis, and it doesn't really deal with this. It takes something extra to pull your head out of the day-to-day operations and place it in this area to have the results, which means that you get to keep more cash in your pocket. You create a system and structure to keep more cash in your pocket when it comes to taxes. Okay. It takes something to do that. So somebody I spoke with today, a trucking company owner, right? So they went ahead and they went with, some bookkeeping service, okay? Which is a big part of this. It's a huge part of this, okay? Bookkeeping is a huge part of this. And I want to say that one more time. Bookkeeping is a huge part of this. Huge. Because one, we're going to talk about how you maximize specific deductions in your company. And in order to maximize those deductions, the bookkeeping is essential. Okay. So this person had hired some bookkeeping services last year. And then I spoke with her today. She said, I went in there and they didn't really do anything. They just didn't categorize everything. So I'm just doing it myself. And I was like, ouch, man, why? Why is it that she has to go in here and pay somebody to do something? And then she's going in there herself and she has to do it. She has to do it, and she doesn't know exactly what she's doing. She would like to understand it. It's not her expertise. It's not her skill set. She's confused with it. I don't know how many of you can relate to that, but sometimes that aspect of the business can be stressful and confusing, and this is why most people stay away from it. But if it's stressful and confusing for you, I would invite you to consider creating the structures to make sure it's put in place. Shameless plug here. We do bookkeeping for people. Shameless plug. All right, we do bookkeeping for people, man, and we make sure it's done in a way where you don't have to worry about it. As a part of the whole peace, ease, and clarity thing that we deliver. And man, I really did get it, man. That wasn't existent where she was. She was stressing because the timeline. She switched over to an S corp, which is one of those things that you get to do when we talk about tax strategy and planning for tax savings and cash flow management. She did it. She went last year and she switched up so that she could manage this. Fantastic. And now she's scrambling to do things herself in this way, and it's a big stressor. Okay. Now she's doing it herself. The other thing that goes along with this is that she's going to make some mistakes. She's going to make a lot of mistakes, and she's going to miss out by doing it on her own. And I feel her pain. I feel it. Okay. And it doesn't have to be the case, guys. You can have systematically put in place the structures that allow you to do this to a high degree with a high degree of accuracy as well. And here, like, get this. If you miss out on, $10,000 worth of deductions, you're going to be paying an additional, depending on your tax bracket, 3,000 to 4,000 in federal taxes. And then we're not even talking about state taxes, depending on where you are in this country. Okay. Now, that's a drop in the bucket to miss in deductions when it comes to this industry, and why would you want to pay an additional amount on top of what you're already expensing out for running your business? Like, what could an extra $3,000 to $4,000 do for you when it comes to operating a cash flow? A cash flow that you have in your pocket to invest and reinvest really into your business. What could you do with that? Now, if you don't have the structures in place, that number could easily rise in terms of what you have to outlay when it comes to taxes unnecessarily. So this is why it's important to have tax management in place. Now, guys, if you have any questions about this while I'm going through this, if you have something that you want to add to the conversation, you can do that. You can put it in the chat. If I'm going too fast, if I missed something that you wanted to go over inside of what I'm sharing with you, be in the conversation. Shoot me a message here, guys, and I'll go over that. And that's the whole point of me being here live with you right now. Okay. But I want to leave you with here that it's super important to have these structures in place, right? The importance of tax management for cash flow. Now, if we're looking at this, people make mistakes, and part of mistakes are misconceptions. So here's some common ones. Many trucking business owners harbor misconceptions about their tax responsibilities, such as underestimating deductible expenses and overestimating tax credits. Clarifying these misconceptions can lead to better financial planning and compliance. So what do we mean? How can you do this? Like, what is, you know, if you if you are somebody that resists looking at things like this in your business, then most likely you are putting yourself at risk and you are throwing money away. If you're somebody who's resistant at putting the aspects of this component of your business together, you are throwing away money and putting yourself at risk unnecessarily. Okay. Now, the misconceptions, they come about because people just don't know what they don't know when it comes to this area. I constantly am learning, right? And this is my field. I constantly am learning. I'm in the practice of learning. And the more I learn about it, the more I learn that, man, there's so much more to learn in this area. Okay. It is a humbling experience to go through the process of just staying hungry in terms of knowledge base and realizing that there is so much more I have to learn. Okay. Now, if I'm embodying that, if I'm like embodying the paradigm, the thought process rather, right? The thought process of I'm constantly expanding in terms of my knowledge base and my skill set. Well, part of that requires you and I to embrace certain things that appear as though they're foreign to us. We don't understand them. Okay. I'm saying this because you would tend to not embrace this. You would tend to go about your day to day and continue like that pattern, that routine, and never address these things. And if we don't do that, if you don't do that, you will be stuck in a loop. And that loop is one where you don't have enough cash to produce the level of success that you want in your life. There's so much to say about just throwing money out the window. That money could be used and invested in certain things. You don't have that anymore. And then all of a sudden you're slow in terms of the growth, the process of your growth, if at all, right? Really, a lot of times it could be the case where you don't have any growth in your finances and in like your wealth plan because you keep throwing money away unnecessarily with these things. Okay. And really like with misconceptions and things that are unknown, it can really cripple you. Okay. Now, not understanding what credits are available and thinking that you're able to take certain things that you're not. This is something that can cause you problems if you don't address them in taxes. All right. So this is what we're talking about with misconceptions and trucking with that when it comes to taxes. Now, deductions is another thing in terms of like the misconception, like you may be understating what you can deduct. I had somebody, they didn't take the full amount of depreciation for assets or not even listing the assets on the books. So they're not taking the deductions. And that's one of those deductions, like depreciation is one of those deductions that it's fantastic to have when it comes to a business because it's not something that impacts your cash necessarily. And it will definitely reduce your tax liability, which improves cash all the way around. Plus, a lot of times when you buy equipment, you're using financing other people's money and you still get the benefit of the deduction. So some people that I've seen, business owners that I've seen in the trucking industry, they fail to have an organized system to keep up with all of the equipment that they're purchasing, right? And record that depreciation and take advantage of that come tax time. Okay. What are you responsible for when it comes to taxes? Okay. Now, I want to share this with you. Business owners are responsible for understanding their tax obligations. That's number one. This includes income tax, payroll tax, sales tax. Compliance with these regulations is essential to avoid penalties and optimize tax filing processes. Now, this is talking about what we call compliance. Okay. I think this is one of the things that you and I deal with when it comes to life in general that would cause us to push away from even looking at the thing. How many of you guys like I was talking to my brother not too long ago, and he was saying that he's been avoiding the scale, right? He knows when he goes over 215, he knows when he goes over 215, he's going to have some issues like with his joints and everything else. And he's like, Cheston, I've been avoiding the scale. This is what I realized about myself. I was avoiding the scale. And he said, as soon as I realized that and then got back on the scale, I saw that I was like 218. I was over the 215 mark. He was like, within the next week, I was back under 215, you know? But the thing is, all that time, he's dealing with joint pain, knee pain, all this other stuff. He knows that that's the threshold right there. When he gets over that mark, it's going to be those issues. But yet, he was avoiding getting on the scale and looking at the thing. I don't know about you, but I know what that's like. Like not wanting to look at the thing, not wanting to deal with it, wanting to avoid things. Why? Because we think that, there's some bad news around it, some more to deal with. We don't want to deal with the stress right away. And if we don't do this, guys, if we don't actually take a look at it, if we resist it, then we're going to deal with a lot more pain down the line. And you may be experiencing that right now because you're avoiding it. So when it comes to this aspect of it, guys, where this is really compliance, there's some pains that you will experience if you don't take a look and understand your tax position and your tax responsibilities. Okay. And that's what I want to say about that. Now, how do you manage it in a way where you can keep your sanity and maintain like a low level of stress around it? My recommendation is to have good partners in your corner. That's number one. Good partners in your corner to know that they have your back. And number two, constantly being in the mode of this educating yourself, man, just learning about this for yourself so you can have a high level conversation. And you don't have the resistance there. You're not afraid to understand your roles and responsibilities in this area. Okay. And that's what I would recommend there. Now, outside of that, this game, I call it a game. This is a game of taxes and business. Really, it's a game of, you know, going from from poverty to wealth, if we look at it that way. Not that the people here are in poverty on this call, but there's a journey. There's a game that we're playing going called, the destination is wealth, true wealth. Okay. And there's going to be a gap that you and I get to declare from where we are to where we want to be in life. And now, if we want to get there, then we're going to have to look at these things and we're going to have to master these things to achieve the outcome that we set in front of us. Okay. And this is really important because the typical thing is to shy away and not be responsible for it. And it doesn't change the fact that you are responsible for it. Your life, right? It gets to go that way because either you're going to choose it or you're going to be a reaction to it. So why not just choose to do well? Choose to go after this with 100% of your attention and win. Okay, that's what I want to say about that. Now, it removes the headaches and the stress around it too, because now you have an action plan. And guys, I'm telling you, if you ever get into a conversation with me 101, that's what we go over. That's what we talk about. And mainly because, the future is what we get to create. And if we create it the way that we want to create it, then we don't have to deal with all the nonsense. We get to have the things that we create instead. All right. That's what I want to urge and emphasize inside this communication. All right. So let's talk a little bit about deductions. We started hinting on it, like depreciation. That's one of those things. But trucking businesses can deduct various expenses, including fuel costs, vehicle repairs, insurance, and maintenance. And guys, right? All this money keeps coming out. you know. Additionally, costs related to permits, licensing, and depreciation of vehicles are legitimate deductions that can reduce overall tax burden. Now, some of the things that are not here will get missed, right? In terms of, meals, HOS meals, if you don't know that, if you don't know the deduction that's available for that when you do HOS meals as opposed to regular meals, you'll be missing out, right? If you don't take advantage of that per diem, if you're not taking advantage of per diem. Somebody reached out to me on YouTube about that, like per diem, and how to be able to take advantage of that when you're the owner of the company. Like even if you have an S corp, how do you take advantage of it? Sometimes people will miss out on that, right? So also taking advantage of like your wages and the retirement plans, and how to balance that out where you're getting the most amount of deductions even inside of your wages, so you're not paying like federal income tax so much, and still meet your obligations for FICA tax, right? And then you're reducing your tax liability there. But there's so many other things in here, guys, like travel expenses and everything else, man. How do you take advantage of all those, right? Um, and then, all the software and office supplies that you use to manage your company. People leave things on the table, guys. Now, if you're not set up organizationally to track everything so that you can maximize your deductions, I invite you to consider that you want to have a strong, very strong system in place to do that. Okay. So you want to maximize all your deductions. Like I said, there was somebody I spoke with not too long ago. They did not even have some of their units listed on their books. So they didn't actually have that to go into their tax return and report the depreciation. But how can you do that, man? How do you do that? It's like you're throwing money out the window again. Okay. Now, if it's pretty simple to do that if you don't have structures in place to track every single thing that comes in and out of your company systematically. And this is what I'm urging each and every one of us on this call to take advantage of those structures. And if you have somebody you're working with, man, work with them, right? I know that for us, I work with people in our ecosystem. And one of the biggest things that we bring is accountability to make sure that people are submitting the things that want to be submitted so that when it's time to come and see exactly what we did execution wise to save money and keep money in your pocket, we win that game. We win that game because we know that we did everything that we could do to help win that game. So here we go. This is what it is. It's record keeping practices, best practices for record keeping. Accurate and organized record keeping is essential for claiming deductions. Maintain detailed logs. You guys are like, man, what? I got to do all this? Yeah, you can maintain detailed logs of expenses with receipts and everything else. Technology is fantastic. It's fantastic today, guys. The technology is so super fantastic today because, with AI and everything now, it all makes it pretty simple. You can feed the technology certain documents and it does a lot of the work for you. But are you even in the conversation for that? Or are you just thinking that everything is just too difficult to keep up with? It's too much or it's overwhelming, right? Now, if you're dealing with that thing, if you're dealing with any of that, like it's overwhelming, whatever you have in your head, we want to manage that. We want to make sure that you manage those, what we call limiting beliefs, limiting thought patterns. So it's not getting in the way of you handling business and doing what you need to do. Okay. Super important. Record keeping, guys. Now, the timing of this too is important. You know, one of the things that I can share with you is that, when it comes to retirement strategies, this is a key element of those strategies. Well, have you maximized retirement yet for the year? You might figure you've had a pretty decent year in 2024, and you have up until the time you file, the filing deadline, to contribute to that retirement account and have a deferred deduction for your taxes for this year. You can do that, okay? And it is all about timing there too. For those of you who are S corp owners, there's a reasonable compensation that you want to pay yourself, and timing is of the essence of that as well. Reasonable means you get paid periodically, like anybody would, like once a month, once a week, bi-weekly. You know, timing is essential for that. And then taking advantage of things like your medical expenses or your health coverage through your business. When it comes to that, like those are certain things that you can deploy inside of how you operate. Okay. So timing deductions effectively can optimize cash flow, scheduling significant purchases or expenses. Year-end can maximize deductions for the current tax year, enhancing financial flexibility when needed most. All right. Now, there's another thing that we could say about this. Like the last quarter of the year, we did some live streams toward the last part of the year in 2024, and we're talking about that. Like if you're doing well, you can invest in equipment, you can take advantage of more depreciation. We can defer revenue as a strategy so that we're not having to have a heavy tax outlay for this year. We can hold off on the invoices until the next year, toward the end of the year, and time that appropriately. You can switch from cash basis to accrual basis in accounting to take advantage of some of these expenses that you would not have been able to take advantage of before, like accrued expenses or like expenses that have been billed to you. but you have not yet outlaid the cash. Super powerful strategy to take advantage of if we know what we're doing here. Okay, like what I want you to be left with here, guys, is actions. Not just any actions, but right action to deliver improved cash flow when it comes to tax management. Okay, that's what I want you to be left with here. And guys, I want to finish this conversation up next week. There are a few other things that we want to get into, and I'm definitely want to finish this conversation off then. But what I want you to get while we're here today, I want to wrap this up. I want you to get while we're here today. We're shifting the thought process now. We're shifting the paradigm to somebody who takes this head on so that you can improve your cash flow when it comes to tax management. One of the largest expenses that you're going to come across in your lifetime, right? You can master this so that you can have cash in the bank more so than you've ever had before, just by playing this game at a high level. Okay. That's what I want to leave you with here. Guys, it's been great being with you tonight. I'm hoping that you got some value from this call. I do appreciate those of you who honor yourselves in that way to be in this conversation with me. I look forward to your success. Have a great week, and I will see you next